Some moments sneak up on you, slipping into your life when you least expect them, unraveling everything you thought you knew in an instant. That night, I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't searching for answers to questions I didn't even know I had. But I found them anyway. And once I saw what was right in front of me, there was no going back. It started with something small. Something I almost ignored. A noise soft, barely audible, coming from downstairs. It was late. The house should have been silent. My mother had gone out of town for a business trip, leaving just me and my stepfather alone in the house. It wasn't unusual. We'd spent nights like this before, and I had never given it much thought. But tonight, something felt different. There was an energy in the air, something heavy, something that made the fine hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. I sat up in bed, listening, trying to decide if I had imagined it. The sound came again, a faint shuffling, a quiet rustling like someone moving carefully, deliberately. My stomach tightened. I told myself it was nothing. The wind. The house settling. Maybe my stepfather just couldn't sleep. But something about it didn't sit right. Slipping out of bed, I moved toward my bedroom door, pressing my palm against the wood as I listened. The house was dark, the only source of light coming from the soft glow of the kitchen down the hall. I hesitated. I could just go back to bed, pretend I hadn't heard anything. But I didn't. Instead, I took a slow, cautious step into the hallway, my bare feet making no sound against the cool wooden floor. Every instinct in me was screaming that something was off, that I shouldn't be here, that I shouldn't see whatever it was I was about to see. But I kept moving, drawn forward by something I couldn't name. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I heard it. A quiet exhale. A hushed, whispered word I couldn't quite make out. My pulse pounded. I rounded the corner, peering into the dimly lit kitchen, and then I froze. My stepfather stood with his back to me, his body rigid, his shoulders squared. He was staring down at something in his hands, something small, something he was gripping so tightly his knuckles had turned white. I inhaled sharply, and the sound must have been just loud enough, because he stiffened. Slowly, he turned his head, his eyes locking onto mine. And in that moment, something in my gut twisted violently, because the look on his face wasn't one of surprise. It wasn't shock or even anger. It was something else. Something I couldn't name. Something that sent a cold shiver crawling down my spine. I took a step back, my throat dry, my voice barely a whisper. "What are you doing?" For a long moment, he didn't answer. He just stood there, watching me, his fingers still clenched tightly around whatever it was he was holding. And then, finally, his lips parted. "You shouldn't be awake." His voice was quiet, controlled. Too controlled. I swallowed hard, my pulse roaring in my ears. I heard something. His eyes flickered, just barely, before he exhaled through his nose and nodded slowly. "It's nothing. Go back to bed." I should have listened. I should have turned around, walked back up the stairs, and forced myself to forget the strange tension clinging to the air between us. But I didn't, because my gaze had dropped, just for a second, just long enough to see what was in his hands. A letter. A letter with my mother's name on it. And the words written in bold, black ink, words that made my blood run cold. "We know what you did." My breath hitched, my stomach twisting into knots. "What is that?" My stepfather's fingers clenched tighter, his jaw tightening. "Nothing. A lie. I knew it. He knew it." And for the first time in my life, I saw something in him I had never seen before. Fear. Real, genuine fear. I took another step back, my mind spinning. Why does that letter say Mom's name? What does it mean? His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. He was thinking, calculating, deciding something. Then, finally, he let out a slow breath and took a step forward. "Go back to bed," he said again, but this time, it wasn't a suggestion. It was a warning. My heart slammed against my ribs. I shook my head. His eyes darkened. "Go." I swallowed hard, my entire body screaming at me to run, to turn around and pretend I hadn't seen anything. But I couldn't, because whatever was happening, whatever this letter meant, it wasn't just about him. It was about my mother. and if she was in danger. I needed to know the truth. I opened my mouth, ready to say something, ready to demand answers. But then he moved. Fast. Too fast. Before I could react, his hand shot out, snatching the letter away, crumpling it into his fist. His expression shifted, his entire demeanor changing in an instant, and suddenly, I wasn't looking at the man I had grown up with. I was looking at a stranger. One who was hiding something. One who was willing to do whatever it took to keep me from finding out the truth. The realization sent ice through my veins. I had just uncovered something I wasn't meant to see. And whatever happened next, I knew it was going to change everything. The silence between us was so thick it felt suffocating, wrapping around me like a vice, squeezing every ounce of rational thought from my brain as I stared at the crumpled letter in his fist, my body frozen in place, my mind screaming at me to do something. Say something, anything to break the unbearable tension. But I couldn't, because I had never seen him like this before. The man standing in front of me wasn't the same stepfather I had known my entire life, the one who had raised me, who had always been a steady, unwavering presence in our home. No, this man was different. There was something unrecognizable in his expression, something that sent a shiver of unease crawling down my spine. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to work even though my throat felt like sandpaper. That letter, who sent it? Why does it have Mom's name on it? My voice was hoarse, unsteady, but I needed to know, needed him to say something that would make sense of the growing dread clawing at my insides. For a long moment, he didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there gripping that letter like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. Then, finally, he let out a slow, measured breath, his shoulders rising and falling in a way that made it clear he was carefully choosing his next words. You don't need to worry about that. A hollow laugh slipped past my lips before I could stop it, the absurdity of his response sparking something sharp and desperate inside me. Are you kidding me? I walk downstairs in the middle of the night and catch you holding a letter that looks like a threat, and you expect me to just forget it? To pretend I didn't see anything? My voice was rising now, panic creeping in around the edges, making my pulse thunder against my ribcage. What are you telling me? His jaw tightened, his knuckles turning white around the paper, and for a brief second, I thought he wasn't going to answer, thought he was going to keep shutting me out, keep treating me like a child who needed protecting. But then, something shifted in his expression, something like exhaustion, like resignation. He exhaled sharply, shaking his head as if deciding it was pointless to keep pretending. It's from someone from my past, he admitted, his voice lower now, rougher, like he didn't want to say the words, but knew he had no choice. Someone who knows things about your mother. About me. Things that were never supposed to come to light. My stomach twisted into a knot so tight it hurt. What kind of things? His gaze met mine, dark and unreadable. Things that could destroy us. A cold wave of fear washed over me, making my skin prickle, my breath hitch in my throat. Destroy us how? He hesitated, just for a second, but that was all it took for the dread to solidify, to anchor itself deep in my chest. Your mother isn't who you think she is, he finally said, each word slow and deliberate, like he was dropping a bomb he wasn't sure how I would handle. And neither am I. The room tilted slightly. My knees felt weak, like they might give out at any second, but I forced myself to stay upright, to stay focused. What are you talking about? He let out a long breath, running a hand down his face. Before I met your mother, I was involved in things I shouldn't have been. And so was she. He paused, looking away for a moment before continuing. We thought we could walk away. Start over. Build a life together where none of it mattered anymore. But the past doesn't work like that. It never really lets you go. I shook my head, my mind racing, trying to piece together the fragments of the life I thought I knew and the truth that was beginning to unravel in front of me. What kind of things? His jaw tensed. Things that got people hurt. Things that put us in the kind of danger you can't just run from. A chill ran through me. And now they've found you. He nodded, his lips pressing into a thin line. And they're not going to stop until they get what they want. I felt sick. Which is? Me. His voice was flat, certain. Or your mother. My breath shuddered out of me. What does that mean? Are they coming after us? His silence was all the answer I needed. I backed up a step, my hands shaking, my heartbeat a frantic drum in my ears. So what do? Do we go to the police? His expression darkened. No, that would only make things worse. Then what? We just wait for them to come to our door. His eyes met mine, steady and unwavering. No, we leave. Tonight? The words sent a shockwave through me, my mind struggling to keep up. Leave? Just like that? We can't just disappear. What about Mom? She already knows, he said quietly. She's on her way back right now. We don't have much time. I felt like I was drowning, the weight of the truth dragging me under, suffocating me with its inevitability. Everything I thought I knew about my family, about my life, was crumbling around me, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. I looked at him, at the man I had known for so many years, the man who had always been steady, dependable. And for the first time, I saw him for what he really was. A man with secrets. A man with a past. A man who was willing to do whatever it took to keep us safe. I swallowed hard, my voice barely a whisper. Where will we go? He didn't hesitate. Somewhere they can't find us. I exhaled shakily, my hands curling into fists as I forced myself to accept the truth of what was happening, the truth I couldn't run from any more than he could. Okay, I said finally, my voice steady despite the fear curling in my chest. Let's go. And with that, my old life ended. And a new one filled with uncertainty, with danger, with truths I wasn't sure I was ready to face began. Whatever came next, there was no turning back.